The whale that can walk on its fins. It began with a tremor. The people of Pedleton-on-Sea were used to odd noises, gulls screeching like broken car alarms, the constant plop of ice creams hitting the pier, the mayor singing sea shanties at 3 a.m. But this tremor was different. The ground shook. Deck chairs toppled. Seagulls fell out of the sky in confused spirals. And then they saw it. A whale. A massive blue whale. But not in the sea. On the beach. It stood. On its fins. The crowd gasped as the giant creature wobbled upright, balancing like a circus elephant. Slowly, awkwardly, it took a step, and then another. Each step thundered across the town, shaking windows and rattling cutlery in cafes. The whale looked around, blinking its enormous eyes, and then, in a surprisingly polite baritone, it said, "Hello, I've decided to try walking." At first, the people cheered. A walking whale? Tourists swarmed in, phones held high. "Oh, it's adorable," cried a woman. "Like a giant fishy toddler," shouted another. The mayor immediately printed t-shirts, "Pebbleton-on-Sea, home of the walking whale." But problems quickly followed. The whale wandered down the high street and accidentally sat on a bus stop. It tried to pop into a bakery, but its head crushed through the roof, showering customers in custard slices. It attempted to join in a Zumba class, only to sink the town hall floor like it was made of soggy Weetabix. By the third day, Pebbleton-on-Sea was chaos. Streets flooded with whale-sized puddles. Half the shops were rubble. And worst of all, the sea was in uproar. Because when a whale walks on land, the other creatures start to notice down there. A delegation of angry dolphins surfaced in the harbour, squeaking furiously. Crabs marched out of the water and picketed the pier with signs reading, "Traitor!" and "Get back in the sea!" Even the Octopus Mafia, known for shaking down tourists for chips, issued a statement. "This land is no place for whales. You're ruining the brand." The whale, now calling himself Walter, was torn. "I only wanted to try something new," he boomed. "Is that so wrong?" But the town muttered, the sea fumed, and the mayor was worried that his new Walking Whale Festival would end before it began. Things came to a head one stormy evening. The dolphins massed in the harbour, the crabs scuttled in their thousands, the Octopus Mafia wrapped their tentacles around the pier supports. "Back to the sea, Walter, or we'll drag you there!" Walter wobbled on his fins. He looked down at the townsfolk, children clutching teddy bears, shopkeepers sweeping rubble from their doorways, a dog barking furiously at his tail, and he realised something terrible. He didn't belong anywhere. By the fourth day, Pebbleton-on-Sea was cracking under the weight of Walter the Walking Whale. He'd flattened 6 cafes, tripped over the bandstand, and accidentally blocked the bus depot by lying down for a nap across 3 double-deckers. The mayor gathered the townsfolk for an emergency meeting at the pier, but they weren't alone. Rising from the harbour, dripping salt water and menace, came the Octopus Mafia, sleek, tattooed cephalopods with fedoras perched on their slimy heads and cigars balancing in their beaks. "All right, Pebbleton," bubbled Don Inkie, the god octopus. "This whale's been messing with business. Tourists ain't buying chips no more. When there's a 30-ton fish flattened in the promenade, we're taking him down." The townsfolk cheered nervously. For once they were on the same side as the mob. And so, as the thunder rolled and waves smashed against the pier, the battle began. Walter waddled into the square, cheerful as ever. "I found a nice tree to sit on," he boomed. "But it broke." "Get him, boys," rasped Don Inkie. Tentacles lashed, crabs scuttled in by the thousand. The townsfolk hurled nets, buckets and stale baguettes left over from last summer's fair. Someone even launched a bouncy castle at his face. For a moment it worked. Walter stumbled. He slipped on flying baguette crumbs. The Octopus Mafia clung to his fins, dragging him toward the sea. The townsfolk roared in triumph, but Walter's smile faded. "I don't belong!" And with that, he stamped his massive fin foot down, splintering the pier in two. Walter exploded upwards. Half the Mafia were hurled into deck chairs. Crabs scattered like confetti. A net full of fishermen flew skyward and landed squarely on the mayor's car. Walter reared back, looming over Pebbleton. His eyes glowed. The ground shook. "You think you can stop me? I will not just walk, I will evolve!" Before anyone could react, Walter's fins began to stretch and twist. His spine cracked. His body shuddered like jelly on a roller coaster. With a horrifying groan, the whale's fins reshaped themselves into colossal legs. The ocean Mafia froze, cigars dropping into the sea. "Holy calamari," whispered Don Inkie. The townsfolk screamed. Pebbleton shook as Walter, no longer a whale, not quite a man, straightened to his full height. His voice boomed like thunder. "I am Walter, the Whale Man!" He kicked aside the ruined pier. He brushed the octopuses from his ankles like lint. He stared inland, where the lights of London glimmered faintly on the horizon. "I will walk the earth. No town, no sea shall contain me!" But before Walter could march, a small voice called out, "Wait!" It was Maisie, aged 7, clutching the last surviving custard slice from the ruined bakery. She stepped forward, sticky fingers raised. "You don't have to destroy us," she said. "Maybe you just need somewhere to belong." Walter froze. His whale eyes softened. Don Inkie seized the moment. He puffed his cigar and muttered, "Kid's got guts. Let's roll with it." The Octopus Mafia, the townsfolk, even the mayor covered in bouncy castle debris, all joined in. They began stacking up food, building an enormous buffet. Fish, chips, bread, cake, seaweed, even 7 tons of spaghetti, hastily borrowed from the Italian restaurant. Walter sniffed. His whale belly rumbled like distant thunder. Slowly, he bent down. He took a bite of the custard slice. Then another. Then the spaghetti. Then the fish and chips. Then, well, he chewed a lot. He swallowed. He smiled. "Thank you," he said. "I belong here." And with that, Walter carefully sat down, crushing only 3 benches this time, and declared Pebbleton-on-Sea his home. Walter, the Whale Man, didn't stomp off to conquer the world. Instead, he stayed. He worked part-time as the town's living landmark, posting for tourist photos and occasionally holding up the pier with his gigantic legs when the tide was rough. The Octopus Mafia opened up a family-friendly seafood restaurant. Nobody asked too many questions about the lobster menu. The mayor rebranded the town Pebbleton-on-Sea, home of the Whale Man. And every evening, Walter walked the promenade, greeting children, scaring away greedy gulls, and occasionally trying Zumba again, though the floorboards never forgave him. The world had braced for disaster. Instead, it got a miracle. Although, in the distance, out at sea, a shark was watching, and it was standing on its fins. Thank you to Freddie for giving us the title for The Whale That Can Walk on Its Fins. I hope you really enjoyed that, Freddie. I know I did. A whale accidentally trampling on a town, the Octopus Mafia, and who knows what that shark is up to next. Freddie, thank you for sending us the idea. If you have a title you would love to see turned into a story, send it over to us on the StoryQuest page at funkidslive.com. Got an idea for a story? Tell us the title at funkidslive.com/storyquest and we could bring your story to life. For a new story each week, make sure you hit subscribe or follow so you don't miss a single episode. Also, to get access to over 300 stories, ad-free listening, and early story releases, become a Fun Kids Podcast Plus subscriber. Just sign up at funkidslive.com/plus.